Now, obviously, nobody enjoys being told what to do all the time. But people who usually fail are the ones who fight the system emotionally every single day. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Journey to Sailor. Good to have you back. A lot of people think failing in the military only happens because somebody isn't physically strong enough. But honestly, physical fitness is usually not the main reason people struggle. I've seen athletic people quit mentally. I've seen confident people completely break down under pressure. And I've seen average, quiet recruits outperform people who looked way tougher on the surface. Because military life is much more psychological than most people realize. The pressure, the structure, the loss of comfort, and the constant accountability. All of that exposes parts of people very quickly. And over time, you start noticing patterns. Certain mindsets tend to struggle badly in the military environment, not because they're bad people, but because military culture clashes with the way they naturally operate. So in this video, I want to break down the top 3 types of people who usually do not succeed in the military and why. Type number 1, the person who cannot handle criticism. This is probably one of the biggest reasons why people struggle early on. In the military, especially in boot camp, you are going to be corrected constantly, sometimes politely, sometimes aggressively, sometimes in front of everybody. That's just reality. And people who take every correction personally usually have extremely hard time adapting because military culture is built around accountability and standards. Nobody cares whether the criticism hurts your feelings in the moment. What they care about is the job getting done correctly. And that adjustment is difficult for some people, especially people who are used to always being praised, protected, or emotionally validated. Boot camp can feel like a shock to the system. The yelling, the pressure, public corrections, and constant demands. Some people internalize all of that emotionally instead of treating it like training. And once that happens, confidence starts collapsing fast. I've seen recruits spiral mentally because every mistake felt like a personal attack against them instead of an opportunity to improve. That mindset becomes dangerous in the military environment because everyone makes mistakes, especially new people. The people who survive usually learn correction is part of growth. People who struggle often, they hear, I'm failing, everyone hates me, I can't do this. And mentally, they start quitting long before anything physical stops them. Another issue is emotional control. Military life can be frustrating. Leadership may criticize you unfairly sometimes. Schedules may change suddenly. You may feel exhausted and stressed. And if somebody cannot regulate their emotions under pressure, military life becomes extremely difficult. Because emotional reactions spread quickly in team environments. Negativity spreads, complaining spreads, and panic. That's why emotional resilience matters so much. Not perfection, resilience. Type number 2, the person who hates structure and authority. Now, this one surprises a lot of people. Some people love the idea of the military until they actually experience the structure. Because the military controls a lot of your life, your schedule, appearance, standards, responsibilities, and some people naturally resist authority at every level. They hate being told what to do, they hate rules, they hate routine, and they hate accountability. And honestly, military life becomes miserable for them, especially early on. At boot camp, almost every minute of your day is controlled. Where you stand, how you speak, how you fold your clothes, when you sleep, when you eat. For some people, that structure creates stability. For others, it feels suffocating. Now, obviously, nobody enjoys being told what to do all the time. But people who usually fail are the ones who fight the system emotionally every single day instead of adapting to it. They constantly think, this is stupid, why do I have to do this? They can't tell me what to do. And that mentality creates friction everywhere, with leadership, with teammates, with responsibilities. One thing people misunderstand is that discipline in the military isn't about obedience, it's about coordination. Large organizations need standards to function effectively, especially during stressful situations. That's why attention to detail and following instructions matter so much. But people who constantly resist authority usually struggle to build trust, and trust is everything in the military. If leadership cannot rely on someone to follow standards consistently, opportunities disappear quickly, and eventually frustration builds on both sides. The person becomes bitter. The military environment becomes exhausting for them mentally. Type number 3, the person who only cares about themselves. This one becomes obvious very fast in the military environment, especially during boot camp, because military culture is heavily team-oriented, and selfish attitudes usually damage morale immediately. People who only think about themselves often struggle because they fail to understand how connected military life really is. If one person stops trying, the whole group feels it. If one person becomes lazy, other people pick up the slack. If one person constantly complains, morale drops for everyone. And that's why teamwork gets pushed so aggressively. The military depends on people being dependable under pressure, not just for themselves, but for others as well. Now, that doesn't mean everybody has to become best friends, but successful military members usually learn how to contribute positively towards the group. The people who struggle the most are often the people who refuse to look beyond their own comfort. They avoid responsibility, they disappear when work appears, and they only care about their own convenience. And teammates notice that immediately, especially in stressful environments like ships, deployments, or long workdays. One thing civilians don't always realize is how much reputation matters in the military. People talk. If someone consistently avoids work or lets others down, word spreads quickly, and eventually teammates stop trusting them. That isolation becomes mentally difficult over time because military environments rely heavily on mutual trust and reliability. And honestly, some people fail socially in the military long before they fail professionally, and usually comes down to attitude. Now, I want to make something very clear. Struggling with one of these traits does not mean that somebody's doomed to fail in the military. People can grow, mature, and improve emotionally. Some of the strongest military members started off struggling badly, but the key difference is whether someone is going to adapt and grow. Because military life forces people to confront themselves honestly. Your attitude becomes visible, your discipline becomes visible, as well as your emotional control. And pressure reveals a lot. Some people discover that the military life helps them become stronger and more resilient. Others realize the environment simply doesn't fit who they are. And honestly, both outcomes are okay. The military is not meant for everybody, but generally speaking, the people who struggle the most are the ones who cannot handle criticism, the people who constantly resist structure and authority, and the people who only think about themselves. Not because they're weak, but because military culture requires adaptability, accountability, and teamwork at a very high level. And without those qualities, military life becomes mentally exhausting very quickly. So if you're considering joining, don't just ask, can I survive boot camp physically? Ask yourself, how do I handle pressure? How do I respond to criticism? Can I function well in a structured environment? And can I work as part of a team even when I'm uncomfortable? Those questions matter much more than most people realize. All right, all. That'll do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your focus. If you haven't seen this video or that video, please check them out. Okay? And please give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, and please subscribe so that you get notifications for all the new videos coming out, usually 2 or 3 a week. And I will see you next time.